What if the most advanced ship in human history didn't vanish into deep space, but brought something back? A crew thought they were on a rescue mission, until they realized they were never meant to return. What they uncovered near Neptune wasn't just a mystery. It was a gateway to something beyond death, beyond sanity, beyond hell. This is the terrifying story of Event Horizon, and why it might just be the most disturbing sci-fi horror ever imagined. In 2015, humanity achieved a monumental milestone: the establishment of the first permanent lunar colony. By 2040, technological advancements had propelled space exploration further, culminating in the launch of a groundbreaking spacecraft, Event Horizon, tasked with pushing the boundaries of our solar system. However, its mission ended abruptly when it mysteriously vanished near Neptune. Fast forward to 2047, a grotesque figure, floating in zero gravity, lets out a chilling scream of agony aboard Event Horizon. But this horrifying scene isn't real. It's a nightmare haunting Dr. Weir. Jolted awake by his alarm, he reaches for a photo of his late wife, Claire, whispering his longing for her presence before returning to his duties. Currently stationed on a space station orbiting Earth, he soon receives an urgent directive. He must accompany the crew of the Lewis and Clark on a classified assignment. The Lewis and Clark crew isn't pleased. They were set to return home after an exhausting mission, and now they are being redirected into deep space on a potentially perilous endeavor. After a tense introduction, Weir immediately senses the cold skepticism from Captain Miller. Before entering cryogenic sleep for the journey, DJ administers a sedative to Weir. As the crew settles into their stasis pods, the ship embarks on its 56-day voyage. Halfway through the journey, Weir's subconscious plays cruel tricks on him. He dreams of Claire's voice whispering his name, luring him into the ship's depths. Emerging from his cryopod, he follows the eerie sound, navigating through dimly lit corridors. Suddenly, a hatch creaks open behind him, leading him to the control room. There, Claire sits in the pilot's chair, shivering and muttering about the cold. As Weir reaches out, she simultaneously appears behind him, her lifeless eyes gouged out. He gasps, and wakes up gasping for air, struggling in his stasis pod. The crew rushes to his aid as DJ calmly reassures him that post-cryogenic disorientation is normal. Over breakfast, Peters watches a video of her son, reflecting on the precious moments she's missing back on Earth. The ship is now mere hours from Neptune, prompting Weir to finally disclose the true nature of their mission. Miller listens with disdain as Weir explains that Event Horizon's disappearance was no accident. The ship had been part of a covert government initiative designed to test the gravity drive, a revolutionary device capable of folding space-time, effectively allowing faster-than-light travel. Weir demonstrates this concept with a simple piece of paper, yet skepticism lingers among the crew. The last known transmission from Event Horizon was picked up near Neptune, an unintelligible, blood-curdling mix of screams and growls. When DJ enhances the audio, a Latin phrase emerges: "Liberate me, a plea for salvation." As they descend into Neptune's turbulent atmosphere, the ship trembles. The pilots battle against the turbulence, managing to stabilize their descent and dock alongside Event Horizon. As the massive derelict vessel looms before them, Stark conducts a preliminary scan, revealing that while the ship's hull remains intact, the gravity is offline, and its interior temperatures are near freezing. Strangely, faint life signatures register across the ship, yet they appear scattered, an anomaly that defies logic. Miller assembles a team to board the abandoned craft. Weir volunteers, but is ordered to remain on the Lewis and Clark to monitor the mission. Clad in their suits, the crew extends a docking bridge and forces open the frozen hatch. Inside, frost-covered surfaces and ice crystals suggest years of desolation. As they split up to investigate different sections, Miller and Peters stumble upon emergency combustive materials, while Peters encounters bloodstains on the control panel. Unaware of the grotesque, decayed bodies plastered to the walls in the flickering light. Meanwhile, Justin ventures to the engineering deck, where a bizarre, circular apparatus sits at the core, the gravity drive. As he cautiously approaches, the mechanism suddenly powers up, emitting an eerie luminescence. The ship's communications feed dissolves into static. A liquid-like void emerges at the drive's center, beckoning Justin forward. He hesitantly reaches out, and the drive pulls him in. Chaos erupts. A powerful gravitational surge radiates from the drive, striking the Lewis and Clark with strong force. The ship suffers severe structural damage, triggering alarms. As DJ battles a growing fire, Miller struggles to make contact with his crew. Miraculously, Cooper manages to retrieve Justin, who is expelled from the drive's void. But something is wrong. Justin remains unresponsive, his body trembling as if haunted by unseen horrors. With the Lewis and Clark on the brink of destruction, Miller makes the call to abandon ship. The Event Horizon offers oxygen and water, making it their only refuge. Once inside, the crew activates the vessel's gravity and thermal systems, causing the frozen interior to thaw instantly. The once floating corpses crash to the floor with sickening thuds. As the team regroups, restores most of the ship's core functions, but a major issue remains. The communication antenna is fried, severing all contact with Earth. To make matters worse, air filters are failing, giving them a mere 20 hours of breathable air. DJ examines Justin's vitals. Though stable, he remains catatonic. While Weir insists the drive is safe, Miller orders Stark to seal the room, unwilling to take further risks. As tensions escalate, Peters reviews Event Horizon's logs, uncovering disturbing footage. The last recorded moments of the previous crew appear normal, until the drive is engaged. The footage distorts violently, revealing nightmarish glimpses of agony and chaos before the screen cuts to black. Suddenly, the ship experiences a massive power drain. Weir rushes to investigate, only to be met by Claire's spectral voice whispering in the darkness. As panic sets in, flickering lights reveal her ghostly form, uttering a single word, forever, before vanishing. Meanwhile, Miller experiences his own horror as flames engulf a mysterious figure rising from the ship's liquid reflections. With paranoia setting in, DJ theorizes that hallucinations could be the result of oxygen deprivation. However, Miller and Peters remain convinced their experiences were real. Stark proposes an unsettling possibility. The Event Horizon has returned from its voyage with something else aboard. Something alive. Something malevolent. Tensions explode when Smith accuses Weir of leading them into a death trap. A physical altercation breaks out, requiring the crew to restrain him. In private, Stark warns Miller that the ship itself may have developed sentience, reacting defensively to their presence. As time dwindles, a desperate search for solutions begins. Then the nightmare worsens. Justin is missing. As Peters frantically searches for him, the ship's lights flicker ominously, casting moving shadows along the walls. A sudden, violent explosion of light shatters the eerie silence, sending Peters into a frenzy. Panic seizes her as she bolts from the room, desperate to find the others. But before she can explain what she witnessed, an ominous pounding echoes through the hallway, so forceful that the metal doors begin to warp under the pressure. Weir stands motionless, captivated by the disturbance. His lips barely move as he whispers, "Open it." Before he can act on the impulse, Stark lunges forward, grabbing his arm to break his trance. An alarm suddenly blares through the ship. Someone is in the airlock. Peters pieces it together instantly, Justin. The team rushes to the location, but the door has already locked behind him. As Stark scrambles to override the system, Justin's voice crackles over the comms, his words chilling. He speaks of seeing something that revealed unimaginable horrors lurking in the depths of space. His trembling fingers hover over a control panel, then press the release button for the airlock. A shrill siren wails, snapping Justin from his delirium. Panic overtakes his vacant expression as he realizes what he's done. The decompression sequence initiates, and his body convulses as the lack of pressure wreaks havoc on his veins. His limbs rise unnaturally, his breathing falters, and blood pours from his eyes. Just as the airlock door releases, Miller reaches him, yanking him back inside with all his strength. The crew storms in, working frantically to stabilize Justin. As the chaos subsides, Weir sits in eerie stillness, his mind consumed by a presence beyond comprehension, the ship reaching out, whispering to him in ways no one else can hear. Justin is placed in a medical pod, his body stable but his consciousness absent. With only 4 hours of breathable air remaining, Miller orders Peters to comb through the ship's data logs for answers. Meanwhile, Stark demands an explanation for Justin's words, but Weir dismisses them as meaningless ramblings. Miller isn't convinced and corners Weir, demanding the truth. Weir's facade cracks. He admits that something is happening, something beyond his understanding. Frustrated, Miller leaves him to his thoughts. Elsewhere, an unseen force beckons Miller toward a corridor where a faint voice pleads for help. He fights against the illusion, but reality twists before his eyes. a vision of a past mission gone wrong, a burning crew member he was forced to abandon. He staggers backward, shaken. Seeking answers, Miller turns to DJ, revealing the nightmare. In response, DJ shares a grim revelation. His translation of the distress message was wrong. It doesn't say "save me." It says "save yourself from hell." The horrifying implications settle in. If the event horizon traveled beyond the known universe, where exactly did it go? Meanwhile, Cooper finishes patching the Lewis and Clark, but an unexpected setback demands another 20 minutes of work. As Peters and Stark continue deciphering the logs, they uncover nightmarish footage. Glimpses of the original crew being unalived in grotesque, inhuman ways. One figure, drenched in blood, grins while holding his own gouged-out eyes. Miller wastes no time. The mission is over. They are leaving. Were protests, insisting there's more to uncover, but Miller silences him. Their objective was to rescue a crew, and that crew is long dead. They will extract all remaining data, then obliterate the ship from a safe distance. Then the bioscanner reading spikes. The event horizon is draining energy on its own. We're Smiles. The ship won't let you leave. Then, without another word, he disappears into the shadows. In the engine room, Smith and Peters hurriedly gather oxygen tanks. Smith leaves first, but Peters hesitates when she hears a familiar voice, her son. Against all logic, she follows the sound, climbing a ladder deeper into the ship's core. As the hallucination tightens its grip, she sees a vision of her own lifeless body sprawled on the floor. Before she can react, the illusion of her son vanishes, replaced by a gaping abyss beneath her feet. She screams as she plummets. Moments later, her lifeless body emerges from the core, shattered. Where enters, his eyes dark with something inhuman. Claire's voice calls to him, and in an instant, he's no longer on the ship. He stands inside a familiar bathroom, his home. Claire is there, stepping into the tub just as he remembers. He apologizes, but she turns to him, her sockets hollow and endless. "Now, we can be together forever." Her fingers claw at his eyes. We're screams, both in the vision and in reality. Meanwhile, Cooper completes repairs, unaware that Smith has discovered a bloodstained ID, right beside an armed combustible materials. His eyes widen as he scrambles to disarm it. Too late. The blast tears through the Lewis and Clark, obliterating Smith instantly and flinging Cooper into the void of space. Thinking fast, he purges his remaining air supply, using the momentum to propel himself back toward the ship. On board, DJ collects medical supplies, preparing for the worst. Miller updates him grimly. Smith and Peters are gone. DJ's expression hardens. "Un élève en sight." But before he can act, where emerges from the shadows, his eyes gouged out, his face twisted into something no longer human. With terrifying strength, he lifts DJ and hurls him across the room. Cold surgical tools glint under the dim lighting as Where secures DJ to a table. Then, with clinical precision, he begins his unholy work. Miller hears the agonized screams over the intercom. He rushes to the medical bay. Too late. DJ's body hangs from the ceiling, his torso ripped open. A weapon in hand, Miller hunts Weir. In the command center, he finds Stark unconscious. As he revives her, Weir reveals himself, sitting ominously in the captain's chair. His voice is steady, but laced with madness. The ship went beyond the stars and found something alive. It brought me back. The event horizon awakens. The ship trembles as its engines roar to life. It is preparing to return, to the place beyond comprehension. Stark lunges at Weir, but he tosses her aside effortlessly. Just then, Cooper appears outside the window. Weir turns and fires, but Cooper dodges. Miller seizes the moment, diving for cover as Weir fires again, shattering critical systems. A window blasted, depressurizing the room. The vacuum begins pulling everything into space. Miller grips onto a console, fighting for survival. Weir tries to hold on, his body twisting under the immense force, but his grip fails. With a final, blood-curdling scream, he is sucked into the abyss. Miller barely manages to escape before sealing the room. Regrouping, the survivors agree there's only one way out. They must attach the forward section and use it as a lifeboat, leaving the corrupted ship behind. As Miller arms the remaining explosives, Stark and Cooper prepare an emergency beacon. But the ship has other plans. Blood oozes from the walls, flooding corridors. Capsules burst, drowning Stark in the deluge. Cooper barely pulls her to safety. Miller, meanwhile, faces his greatest fear. his old crew member wreathed in flames, dragging him into the Event Horizon's heart. Yet, it is not his former crewmate. It is Weir, reborn in fire and torment. Weir seizes Miller, forcing visions of eternal suffering into his mind. But Miller fights back, grabbing a detonator. With his final act, he presses the trigger. The Event Horizon is consumed in fire. The ship splits apart, vanishing into nothingness. 72 days later, a rescue team arrives, finding Stark and Cooper in stasis. As Stark awakens, she screams, the lead rescuer is Weir. But then reality shifts. It's just another hallucination. Or is it? So, what do you think really happened to the Event Horizon? Was Dr. Weir consumed by the ship, or was he part of it all along? And if you could fold space and time, would you dare to look at what's waiting on the other side? Drop your theories in the comments below. We're ready for the wildest takes. And if you love dark, twisted sci-fi stories that blend horror and cosmic terror, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming next.